Hello and welcome back to This Day in History. It is August 7th, 2024. And as you know, it's not about the year, but about the date and the historical happenings of what happened on this date. We have some uh, interesting birthdays. I also have a friend who has a birthday today. He's in Independence, Missouri. One of the people that we are featuring today, he had this big thing that, like, oh, we were born on the same day, except I think it's possible that this person's August 7th and your August 7th may not have been the same day, and I'll explain that in a moment. We have some battles, we have some murder mysteries. We have just a lot of good stuff. So let's just get into it, shall we? So the first birthday is 1560. Hungarian Countess Elizabeth Bathory. She purportedly tortured and murdered hundreds of young women in the 16th and 17th centuries. So 1560 would be the 16th century, so she lived well into the 1600s. That would be the 17th century. In 1867, Emil Nolde, or Nolde, Nolde, was a German artist, born on this day in 1867. Born on this day in 1876, we talked about her recently, Mata Hari. She was a Dutch dancer and a spy, and she was executed for spying for the Germans. She admitted to being, and stated that she was a double agent, meaning that she was really, she was spying for the Allies and gave the Germans no real actual intelligent information, all the while pumping them for information and feeding to the Allies. But that never came to light at the time. Those that she was supposedly feeding German information to the Allies, they clammed up and said that she did no such thing. There is circumstantial evidence now that suggests that perhaps she was innocent of the charges of treason and espionage and whatnot, that she was telling the truth, and that certain people just wanted her to disappear, in all likelihood because of her lifestyle. She was a whore. I mean, she was a dancer, and she got in bed with German officers. She got in bed with just about anybody so that that's how she got information. So yeah, but her birthday is today. She was born in 1876. 1932, Abebe Bikila is an Ethiopian athlete, first athlete to ever win 2 Olympic marathons. Abebe was born on this day in 1932. On this day, 1960, David Duchovny, American actor, he was born, and you would know him from, he kind of got a start in, I think it was Showtime series called Red Shoe Diaries. He later had a very successful career in The X-Files. That's where a lot of people would know him from. He's also done, I think the TV series was called Californication or something like that. There's another one, it was either HBO or Showtime, one of those shows that they had where he played I believe he was a plastic surgeon, I think. I'm not sure. But he's had a very lucrative acting career. 1975, here's the one I'm talking about. 1975, Charlize Theron, she was South African born, meaning she was born in South Africa. She's an American actress, obviously. South African born American actress. And my buddy was born on this day in 1975. She was born on this day in 1975. But here's where I'm wondering if, there's a little bit of, right? So time zones, right? Specifically international time zones. I don't know if they were born technically if they were born on the same day according to their time zones. That's the only thing I'd say. But where she was, it was August 7th, and where he was here in Oregon, where we are both from, it was August 7th. Now, depending on the time of, the time of day and that 24-hour period, blah, 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 blah. At any rate, happy birthday. Happy birthday to Thad. Happy birthday to Charlize Theron. 1987, here's the last birthday. Sidney Crosby, he's a Canadian ice hockey player. Notice how they had to put in their ice hockey. Is there any other professional hockey out there other than that that's on the ice? I think not. At any rate, Sidney Crosby is a Canadian hockey player, and it's his birthday today. And that does it for the birthdays. So what do you want to know about this day in history? Well, 1792, George Washington, he orders the creation of the first U.S. military decoration. It was then called the Badge of Military Merit. It is now known as the Purple Heart, and that's why the Purple Heart bears his likeness, because he ordered its first iteration, the creation of its first iteration, I should say. It was later awarded to three soldiers from the Revolutionary War for their bravery in action. 1819, South American insurgents under Simon Bolivar defeat the Spanish at the Battle of Boyaca. They freed New Grenada, which by today's region would be Colombia and Venezuela. They freed New Grenada from Spanish control. It is 1888, the very first of the murders committed by Jack the Ripper took place in London's East Side. And that's the murder mystery I was talking about, because they never really did those murders were never solved. They think they might know who it was. They think that they had very few clues as to, apparently they thought this guy was a doctor, or he had some medical training of the way that he was carving up these women, prostitutes. They think that he had some medical training, and that's what he was utilizing when he was killing them. It's also been rumored that they thought that it was one of the members of royalty that were doing it, because when this certain member of the royal family had left to go to Africa, he and his entourage, when they left for Africa, well, the murders stopped happening in London's East Side, but they started happening in Africa where he went. So either it was him or it was someone in his entourage who was actually Jack the Ripper, but I don't think they'll ever know. 1948, speaking of London, it's the London Olympics. Dutch athlete Fanny Blankers-Koen helped the Dutch team win the 4x100 relay. She became the first woman to capture 4 gold medals in a single games, meaning at a single Olympics event, or series of events. So she captured 4 golds at the London Games in 48. She won the 100 meter, 200 meter, and 80 meter hurdles, as well as that 4x100 relay. So that was her. Now, mind you, she did all this while being pregnant with her 3rd child. That's baller right there. 1957. If you're astute to old Hollywood like I am, then you might have heard of comedy teams from yesteryear, like Abbott and Costello, Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy. Oliver Hardy of Laurel and Hardy fame, he died in North Hollywood, California on this day, in 1957. They were known as the first great Hollywood motion picture comedy team. They were the ones that kind of, I don't know if they set the bar for the others, but they were all right up there. I mean, Their comedy was gold. 1960. Côte d'Ivoire gains its independence from France. Where is Côte d'Ivoire? Well, it's also known as the Ivory Coast. And if you look at the map, they are between, they're kind of in the if, Africa is like this, they're kind of like over here in this corner. I looked at the map last night and now I'm having a blank. Liberia is to their west, and Ghana is to their east, and then they're kind of surrounded by other nations there. We talked about yesterday. Was it what was that country? Burka. Or maybe it was the day before. A couple days before. Going through my notes and I'm not finding it. But it was I can't remember. Started with a B. And if you've been following my my videos, then you'll know what I'm talking about. At any rate, that other B nation that we talked about the other day is like to the northeast of it, I think. Or it's just north of it. So 1974, French-born Philippe Petit. He walked on a high wire between the newly built Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. We're talking like this is 1,300 feet, 350 feet, or 411 meters above the street level. And he walks this tightrope, successfully goes from one building to the other. For his efforts, he was arrested. He was arrested for the feat, but then the charges were later dropped. In 1978, President Jimmy Carter declares a federal health emergency in Love Canal, which is in the neighborhood of Niagara Falls, New York. Following the leakage of toxic chemicals that were buried underneath the community there, it was the worst environmental disaster involving chemical waste in U.S. history. Yeah. 2007, here's where I take issue, and I'm about to, have a moment here. 2007, American baseball player Barry Bonds hit 756th career home run, breaking Hank Aaron's record. Here's where I take issue with that. First of all, he was juicing. He was on using steroids, whatever. He was juicing. Second of all, the Giants were out of the pennant race that year, and he had said something like he was going to donate, X amount of money for every home run that he hit. So, or maybe he wasn't out of the pennant race, but other ball clubs that they were playing. And so pitchers would just feed him home runs so that he could get this record breaker. Here's the problem I have with this is the inconsistency of the national or the Major League Baseball. In 1961, MLB, listen up. In 1961, you made Roger Maris have an asterisk next to his record when he beat Babe Ruth's home run record. And you said it was because, you played more games in this season than Babe Ruth did, so therefore we're going to put an asterisk next to your name so that, it doesn't taint Babe Ruth's record. Yet, you have African-American baseball great Hank Aaron, who hits, 755 home runs in his career, and that's a record in and of itself. Now you have Barry Bonds come here, all these years later, and he's juicing, which is something Hank Aaron never did, and he basically pined to have strikes thrown his way so that he could, get his home runs record Hank Aaron never did that either. So it's like, if you're going to do that to Roger Maris for, you know, because there were, you know, mitigating circumstances, i.e., more games that Maris played over Babe Ruth, then you need to do the same thing with you need to do the same thing with Barry Bonds and Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron deservedly earned that record. I can't, in good confidence, say that Barry Bonds did the same. And I shouldn't bash Barry Bonds a whole lot, because, I mean, if it weren't for Barry Bonds having that hamstring injury that one year, which was 2004, I think it was, and in the whole Balco thing, you know, later, you know, right after this, 2007, 8, somewhere in there, you know, my cousin Jason Ellison wouldn't have replaced him. My cousin Jason Ellison was playing for the Fresno Grizzlies, and he was called up to stand in for Barry Bonds when Barry had that hamstring injury. No, it wasn't 2004. It would have been more like 2006, I think. I think it was closer to 2006. At any rate, Jason was called up for that week, and he ended up being in the MLB baseball game, EA Sports baseball game that year, because he was on the roster. They had him on the roster, and you know, like, they don't just call you up for a week. I mean, they put you on a year contract, and that you're just basically you're on contract for a year, but they only needed him for the week. I think that's how Jason explained it to me. But because he was on contract, they put him in the game. I remember playing this game with my friend Ron, and I was thumbing through, and I was playing the Giants, because, I mean, that's the Grizzlies were the farm team for the Giants, and I see Jason's name there, and I'm like, holy crap, that's my cousin. And, you know, Ron was like, do you have a cousin on the Giants? I'm like, I guess so, because that's my cousin. Highlighted it, and I saw the picture. I'm like, yep, that's my cousin. And cousin-in-law, but still my cousin. And right, so I played him, and I played so poorly it wasn't even funny. But, you know, I suppose I should be thankful that Barry stepped down so that my cousin could achieve his dream of going to the majors, and he did. He played for the Giants. He played for the Mariners. He played for the Texas Rangers. He played for the Cincinnati Reds. He played for the Phillies, the Philadelphia Phillies. You know, he played for all these teams in his career, and he has nothing to, hold his head in shame about. I mean, he actually did something by the age of 30 that, you know, most people wish they could do in their lifetime. That was to achieve their lifelong dream of whatever career goal they wanted to have. He did it at 30. I was never able to. So I'm still, to this day, I'm still super proud of Jason Ellison. He's, and he's a great guy. He's a good man. So, yeah, Barry Bonds should have an asterisk next to his record, just as Roger Maris was made to have an asterisk next to his. And it's an injustice there. If you're not going to put an asterisk next to Barry Bonds, you need to remove that asterisk from Roger Maris's record, because fair is fair. That's all I'm saying. 2015, American golfer Louise Suggs. She dies at the age of 91. She was a pioneer in women's golf. She co-founded the Ladies Professional Golf Association in 1950, and she won 61 LPGA tournaments. I had always wondered what LPGA was, and now I know. It was the Ladies Professional Golf Association. So now we're into this day in history, the featured event. The year is 1942. It's Guadalcanal, specifically the air base, or the airfield there at Guadalcanal, seized by the Allies. And when I say Allies, well, we meant the U.S. Marines. It was the first major offensive in the Pacific Theater since the war started. And it was the first time that I think it's the first time that we actually start getting Marines on, boots on the ground, as it were, instead of actual naval battles. It was the first major offensive, Pacific theater of World War II, rather. U.S. Marines, they landed on Guadalcanal and they captured the airfield from the Japanese, sparking something like a 6-month battle. So it wasn't like really quick or anything. Once they landed, they had to go through the motions of securing the island, and it took them about 6 months to take that airfield. But once they took that airfield, they basically took the island, and Guadalcanal was a waypoint. And if you've ever watched the old TV series Black Sheep Squadron, they talk a lot about Bella Cava, which was, I think that was a made-up island, but Guadalcanal and all these areas. These Marines were basically based on these airfields on these islands, and they were used as bases of operations so they could go fly their sorties and go take out, Japanese. The Japanese Air Forces as the Navy was moving through and, island hopping. And that was essentially the campaign. That was how we won World War II in the Pacific, is that we just basically went from one island to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, till we hit Okinawa. And then once we hit Okinawa, the Japanese are starting to double down, because it's like we are almost right there at their front door. And it just happened to be that, what was it yesterday? Yesterday is when we bombed Hiroshima. And we bombed them to get them to capitulate. And they didn't at first. There is a story that I've heard that an American soldier was captured, and the Japanese asked, how many bombs do you have? And he had no clue what these bombs were, but he lied through his ass and said, we've got hundreds of them. And they didn't believe him at first, and then Nagasaki happened, and they're like, oh crap. And supposedly that's what had enticed them to give up, is that they were told that we had hundreds of them, which we didn't. We weren't going to have a fourth bomb for another 9 months. But it was devastating enough that it made them think, and then they finally gave up the fight, and that's how we won. So that's it for this day in history. Thanks for tuning in. You guys have a blessed day. It's a nice, warm, it's mostly blue skies. See a little smog, I suppose, but it's a great day. So go out and enjoy it. I am going to go to the gym, and then I'm going to go eat, and then I'm going to go to work. Yay. Got to earn my 2 bits for the day. So be blessed. Take care. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll do it again for August 8th, 2024. All right.